Hello, class. Welcome to BCA 104. This is Professor Nuur. So, in today's video, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to use the command prompt, which is the DOS section in our BCA 104 class. So, basically, we are not doing exact DOS operating system since we are using Windows. So, we will be utilizing the Windows command prompt to run some commands. So, DOS is an operating system just like Unix, Linux, and Windows and the Apple platform operating system. So DOS is also an operating system, but since we are now running Windows, so currently we are using GUIs. So before I go ahead here, I'm going to show you a Word document that I'm going to just open up. So basically this will be my lecture notes. If you see here, I put the command name, which is the number one and then two, so on. So we're going to go over this as I go over in the class. So there are like 21, 22 commands altogether that we will be covering in this class. Uh, there is no book required for the DOS section in this class, so you do not need to buy or get a Cengage code for that. So please make sure you follow the video, and also I'll try to share some PowerPoint presentation for you guys. So in case you want to follow the PowerPoint, you can do that, or if you want to watch the video, you can do that too as well. So before we go ahead and use the commands, the first thing is how to get to the command line. So basically, so I'm going to use this Microsoft Word as my checkboard. So I'm going to go ahead and type my information on this screen. So I just pulled up a new document. So again, we are starting MS DOS. So MS is not like Miss or Mr. So MS stands for Microsoft. So it's Microsoft. And then DOS stands for disk operating, and then system. So D is disk. So let me blow this up so it will make it unique. So you know what DOS stands for. All right, so this is what we are going to cover, Microsoft Disk Operating System. And again, as I said, we're not actually going to be using the exact command, the DOS platform, but we're going to be using the Windows command prompt. So we're going to be using the Windows command prompt. Um, so basically in computers, we have two type of interfaces. So we have GUI, which is basically stands for graphic user interface. And then we have CUI, and CUI stands for command user interface. So these are basically the two interfaces we tackle every day in life. So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the GUI. So GUI is basically anything that supports graphic. So in this case, Windows is basically considered as GUI. So for example, anyone can ask you, hey, what GUI do you have on your computer? So don't panic. Don't be like, hey, what is that GUI is asking me? Or somebody at the interview can ask you, do you know how to use GUI 11? So what basically they're referring to is, do you know how to use Windows 11? So user interface supports graphics, which means if I want to watch YouTube, if I want to go to Facebook or watch a movie or something, I need something that supports graphic, which is Windows, right? Now, DOS basically is CUI, which is command user interface. Now, DOS is all driven by commands, which means as compared to Windows. So Windows, I mean, we know we can right click, left click. If I want to delete, let's say an object, I can just right click on it and go to delete, or I can just simply drag it and drop it to the recycle bin, right? But in DOS, I cannot do that, unfortunately. I cannot do drag and drop. So if I want to delete something, I have to write the command. I have to write the script. So I have to tell the machine, hey, I want to delete a file. So I'm going to say del space the file name that I want to delete it, the file name dot the extension of that file, and then I have to hit enter. Now, if I put the wrong syntax, the wrong file name, the wrong extension, I'm going to end up with getting an error message. So we have to be very careful when we're inputting the commands, okay? Now, basically, DAWs, the CUI, have two type of commands. So DAWs have two types of command, two types of commands, okay? So we have internal commands that we work with, and we have external commands. Now, the basic difference is internal commands basically are those commands which are already in your system. Okay. Now, since we are going to be using Windows command prompt, which means we're already loading the computer through the Windows operating system. So most of my internal commands are already loaded on my system. So in other words, I do not have to download them or copy them in order to run those commands. They're already in my system. Okay. Uh, Same like an example, if I want to delete time, right? That's impossible because I cannot delete time. So time is an internal command. It comes with my computer. Date is an internal command. I cannot delete those guys. Yeah, of course I can modify them. I can make changes to them, but I cannot delete them. Okay. Now, of course, if I did not install them, I cannot delete them as well. So internal commands cannot be removed from the system because they come with your system. External commands are kind of the opposite, so which means external commands needs to be downloaded on your computer in order to run them. Most of the powerful commands in DAWs are external commands. Now, since we are using the command prompt for Windows, so we have a few external commands that automatically are built into the system, which we will be utilizing in this class. But I will say 90% of our commands in this class will be internal, and 10% of the commands will be external. So 10% will be external and 90%. So the majority of the commands that I'm going to deal with will be internal. Now, when I'll go through the commands in the class, so when I'll do the commands, so the first thing I will do is I'm going to share with you the command name, okay? So I'm going to name the command. So I'm going to tell you what the command name is so you can remember the command name. And then after that, I'm going to give you the description of that command. So I'm going to tell you what's the purpose of it and or the definition of that command. After that, I'm going to give you the type of it, which means I'm going to tell you if that command is either internal or external. Okay. And then the last thing I will share with you guys is the syntax. So syntax is kind of like the formula, like how you're gonna be running that command. So that is very, very important. Okay, the syntax is very important because in using command lines, if you really don't know what's the syntax or how to execute the syntax, you will be in problem. So every time you do a wrong syntax, you're gonna end up with bad command or file does not exist or illegal command or something like that. Okay, so remember this thing I'm highlighting in red are what I'm going to share with you before every command, okay? So I'm going to give you the command name, the description of it, the type, if it's internal, external, and then also the syntax, okay? And once I share that with you, we're going to go ahead in the command and do it so you guys can see how it works and then you guys can practice it, okay? So first thing comes first. So let's go ahead and start. So the first thing we're going to do here is how do we get to the command prompt window. So first thing is to open the command prompt window. Command prompt window. So in order for us to run the DAWs commands, we have to be on the command prompt window. Okay, we cannot just run it from the Windows from the GUI platform. So we have to switch to the CUI platform, which is the command prompt window. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the command prompt window, but never paid attention to it. That's the black screen that pops on your screen when your computer is upgrading or if you're getting any viruses downloaded. So you see that screen opens and closes on your screen. All right, so on the command prompt, once we open it, the first thing you guys are going to see after the version is the command line. Okay, so the command line is where you're going to be putting the commands. Okay, now the command line will read something like this: C colon backslash and then the username. So in my case, since I'm using my laptop, it's going to say T Nuur. So you're going to say user and then T Nuur. Now, It depends on where you are using. If you're at school, so the command line might be different. If you're at home, it might be different. But this is your command line, okay? So it's always going to be C user and then whoever is logged into that computer. So this is me, so it's telling me I'm logged into this machine. Now, if I'm at school and I found a computer that's already turned on, somebody forgot to log off and I'm using that. So when I go to the command prompt, it's gonna display that person, that student's name. So this way, that's how the IT people or the network people know, hey, this guy's still logged in, that guy's still on the machine. So this is very, very important when you finish your class. Don't just jump out and leave the room. Make sure you log off your account so nobody else can use your account. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and open the command prompt. So there's several ways to open the command prompt. The first method is if you go to start. Now I'm using Windows 11 on my laptop, so it's gonna be slightly different. The Windows on Windows 10, the Windows logo is all the way to the far left. So in Windows 11 they changed it. So you go to start. So once you click start, it's going to pull up the start menu for you. And then in Windows 11, you have all the apps and all that, right? So you scroll down through your apps, you go through all your folders. So in Windows 11, they made a slight different here, okay? So the easy way to get to your command prompt is if you just go here on the search and type CMD. Okay, so we're going to type CMD. Now, one more thing to let you guys know that DOS is not a case sensitive, which means we can write the commands in uppercase or lowercase. It doesn't matter. Now, CMD stands for command, so we don't have to write the whole thing command. As soon as you type CMD on your search bar on the start menu, so you see the command prompt automatically popped. Now on the right side, you can click open if you want to open it. Now by default, when you run the command prompt,